The last thing Lars Mittank ever did on camera was look out a window. Then a man walked into the room, and Lars ran. He didn't walk, he didn't ask questions. He sprinted through Varna Airport, scaled a 2.5-meter fence topped with razor wire, in sandals, and disappeared into a sunflower field. His phone was left behind, his wallet, his passport. He was 28 years old. That was July 8th, 2014. Nobody has seen him since. This is not the story of a man who got lost. This is the story of a man who was terrified of something, and we still don't know what. Lars Mittank was not the kind of person you'd expect to vanish. He was a 28-year-old German from Wilhelmshaven. Ordinary job, football fan, booked a holiday to Bulgaria with friends the way thousands of people do every summer. On his last night at the resort, there was a fight. 4 men, who called themselves Bayern Munich fans, attacked Lars's group. Lars took the worst of it. A blow to the head ruptured his eardrum. He couldn't fly home. Pressure changes in the cabin would make the injury worse. His friends left. Lars stayed behind alone in a foreign country, in pain, and for the first time, on his own. A doctor prescribed him cefuroxime, a common antibiotic. What the doctor may not have mentioned? In rare cases, cefuroxime has documented psychiatric side effects: paranoia, disorientation, auditory disturbance. But here's the problem with blaming the medication. Lars called his mother that evening, and what he said wasn't the rambling of someone losing touch with reality. It was specific, deliberate, and it sounded like a warning. Lars left his mother a voicemail the night before he vanished. He was, "Don't trust the doctors here. They won't let me leave. They're asking what the pills are." Read that again. He didn't say he felt sick. He didn't say he was confused. He said they won't let me leave. He said, don't trust the doctors. But if Lars was suffering a psychiatric reaction to medication, that message could be a delusion, a paranoid mind inventing a threat. Therefore, investigators couldn't rule it out either way. But what happened the next morning made the delusion theory significantly harder to hold on to. Because whatever Lars saw, or thought he saw, it had a specific trigger. And that trigger is on camera. Watch the footage carefully, and I mean carefully, because most people miss what actually happens. Lars is sitting in the doctor's waiting area. He is agitated but contained, fidgeting, watching the door. Then he stands and walks to the window. He looks out. A construction worker walks into the office. That's it. That's the trigger. Not a gun, not a threat. One man in work clothes walks through a door, and Lars is gone within seconds. Now here is where the two explanations split completely. If this is a psychiatric episode, Lars saw something that wasn't there, a threat his medicated brain manufactured. The construction worker was irrelevant, the paranoia had already taken over. But if Lars was right, if someone really was watching him, then the construction worker wasn't random. He was the signal. The face Lars had been waiting to see. The confirmation that they'd found him. The footage doesn't tell us which one is true. What happened in the field after he cleared that fence, that's where the real evidence is. And that evidence doesn't add up the way most people think. Search teams went into those fields within hours. Cadaver dogs, ground-penetrating radar, aerial searches. They found nothing. But the dogs did find something before they lost it. They tracked Lars's scent through the field. Then they reached a river, and the trail ended. He crossed the water, deliberately. Because crossing water breaks a scent trail. That is not something a man in a dissociative episode thinks to do. That is something a man who knows he's being tracked thinks to do. But here is the detail that closes the door on the "he's alive somewhere" theory. Lars Mittank's bank account has never been touched. Not in 2014, not in 2015, not in 12 years. No withdrawals, no activity, nothing. A man living off-grid, even if he wanted to disappear, needs money eventually. Everyone does. A week? A month? A year? At some point, you touch the account. Lars never did. That means one of two things. Either he found a way to survive completely without funds for over a decade, or he didn't survive. Two camps, same footage, completely different conclusions. Theory 1. A mind at war with itself. The medication destabilized Lars in ways that escalated fast. The fight, the isolation, the foreign country, the pain, all of it stacked. By the time he reached the airport, he was in full paranoid crisis. He ran from a threat that existed only in his own head. The river was instinct, not strategy. And somewhere beyond it, alone and disoriented, he didn't make it. Theory 2. He knew exactly what he was running from. Someone at that resort wanted to know about those pills badly enough to follow Lars to the airport. The voicemail wasn't paranoia, it was intelligence. He crossed the river because he understood surveillance. And either he escaped completely and chose to stay gone, or he was found before he could get far enough. One theory says the system failed a man in a medical crisis. The other says the system failed to find a predator before it was too late. The bank account, the river, the voicemail, none of it resolves cleanly into either answer. That's why this case is still open. Lars Mittank walked into a field 12 years ago, and every piece of evidence since has raised more questions than it answered. If you've studied the footage and you have a read on that construction worker, drop it in the comments. Some of the sharpest analysis I've seen on this case has come from people watching that clip frame by frame. And if you want the next case that has the same problem, too much evidence, zero answers, it's already up. Because the Lars Mittank disappearance isn't the only one that ends at a body of water with a trail gone cold. The next one starts the same way, and ends somewhere nobody expected. Subscribe. The next one ends somewhere even darker.